want the music off?
No. That's all right. You can. Yeah, you can go fast. No, I'm just recording. That's all right. As you guys know, we were going to have the opening today, but due to lockdown, we thought we'll do a little bit of a demo and still wait after the lockdown. We'll have another opening and a bit more demos with all the boys that would be coming down from Melbourne. So we have Okami here, Robert, who will be demonstrating for us today. We're on. We will be answering questions if there's any questions.
Hey guys, how you going? Unfortunately, to lockdown, there's no opening, but we thought we'd just do a small opening of the academy so people can actually ask questions, get an idea what Bruce Lee MMA is, and any requests through Facebook, Instagram? Facebook. Feel free to write it down, and we will show you as best as possible solo. But we'll go through a few things. We'll explain our programs, our women program, our kids program, and adult mixed program. We have a lot of programs to offer, which have been running for 20 years in Melbourne. Some of the programs have been brought from the United States, which has been very successful in the military and law enforcement agencies, so we'll touch up on that as well. And some special arts that a lot of people don't do. This is what makes Bruce Lee MMA very, very unique. And a lot of the people don't understand the meaning behind the way of life. But Bruce Lee MMA is so important because through the arts we understand culture, and that's what Bruce Lee meant by mixed martial arts. The culture is so important just for peace and harmonious living. So the way of life is very important in our system. Understand an art, you'll understand the culture, which brings you closer to respectful for others. So that's pretty much what Bruce Lee MMA is about. It does cover the mixed martial arts, of course, and we all know that Bruce Lee was and still is the father of MMA. So he started it all. He was mixing it up before anybody was mixing it up. So we're actually, giving it some respect and keeping it alive. So what I will show you is what Bruce Lee MMA looks like as a physical form. So you've got your kicking arts, you've got your punching arts, you've got your grappling arts, your clinch arts, and you have the weapons and the multiple opponents. And this is what people don't study that much, is the weapons. And everyone feels like the weapons is so violent, but it's actually a rehab art, and it challenges your body to actually become better, fast-tracked, quickly. So I'll start off with boxing, which everybody knows, everyone does, and no one really understands that boxing comes from the Filipino martial arts. It comes from a bladed art. So when we teach our students on get-go, we teach them how to use a weapon, which translates into empty hand and fast-tracks your boxing pretty much. What will take you a year in boxing will take you a month with us, using a blade and specific drills. Passed on thousands of years, of course. So I think I can start off with that, because everyone can relate to boxing. We'll start off with a double blade. You can understand back in 1899, boxing looked like this. Now, this was the old style of the way they boxed in 1899 in California. When the Filipinos arrived, they were already like this. They were already hands up close, which is what we see today. So they were ahead of time, and the reason why they were like that is because of the blade form. You can't keep your blades out here, you're going to get your arms cut, so you've got to keep them in close. So when you keep them in close, no blades, still close, whereas everyone was fighting this way. John L. Sullivan, all those old guys. So once you learn the jabs and the crosses and the hooks through your blade, then your boxing mechanics, both left and right, will be efficient. As you can see, I have to use my right hand, my left hand, my left lead or my right lead, which will generate great body mechanics for boxing. So that's something unique in the Bruce Lee MMA, because Bruce Lee was big on weapons. And everyone that understands what Jeet Kune Do means, that's his personal philosophy, it's a weapon-based system which translates to empty hand. That's why we can fast-track students faster, quicker, and get results, of course, more faster than the usual art with the Filipino martial arts. So that's one thing that we're proud of. And of course, we use the bombas for cadence to keep people alive in training and the footwork and the rhythm. If there's any questions, both left and right will be efficient. As you can see, I have to use my right hand, my left hand, my left lead or my right lead, which will generate great body mechanics for boxing. So that's something unique in the Bruce Lee MMA, because Bruce Lee was big on weapons. And everyone that understands what Jeet Kune Do means, that's his personal philosophy, it's a weapon-based system which translates to empty hand. That's why we can fast-track students faster, quicker, and get results, of course, more faster than the usual art with the Filipino martial arts. So that's one thing that we're proud of. And of course, we use the bombas for cadence to keep people alive in training and the footwork and the rhythm. If there's any questions, they can ask. If there's anybody, they can ask. Okay, let me give you another category which is very important. It's just a lot of people know who Mayweather is, since I'm on the boxing category. Mayweather uses a lot of the Philly guard, which is this. He puts his hand down and his hand is up, and he's always slipping and bobbing and weaving. Well, that comes from the stick and dagger, or as we call it, the espada dagger. So the blade is here and the stick is here, so it's exactly the same. It's the same structure in boxing. So the blade, the stick is here, which means empty hand, it's here. He doesn't like to call it the Philly guard, but he has mentioned it a couple of times, but it does come from the Philippines. That's one thing a lot of people don't know. Now, moving on, I gather to everyone always asks me about the wooden dummy. Why do we use it and so forth? Look, it was really used more or less when you don't have a partner. So it's based for trapping, close quarter. That's why the hands are short. But we do use weapons on it. We do use empty hands on it. So I'll give you. And we box with it too. So if I want to box with it, I can still box with it. I can still kick that with the shin pad. I can still use my training with the wooden dummy. I can use the blade on it if I want to use bladed structure. Okay. I want to cut and use my templates on the dummy. Of course, I can trap using the shopping head of Wing Chun, which is based on Jun Fan. Seeing I said Jun Fan, Bruce Lee's name is not really Bruce Lee. It's actually Jun Fan. So it's called Jun Fan Lee. So when we teach techniques that Bruce has left us, we call them Jun Fan. When we teach the philosophy, we call it Jikundo, because there's no technical repertoire there. It's a form of thinking, concepts and philosophies. But if I show you an original technique, which is from Wing Chun, which is Jun Fan, pass out, get a trapping hand. If that was the hand, I would trap the hand, punch the face. If it was a boxer, I'm out here, I want to fake the boxer and trap the hands up, then move into headbutts, knees and elbows. I can still use the Wundami in that sense. Of course, a real person is much better, but if you don't have a partner, you have to resort to something to still train. So that's your Wundami. And I can do so much with it. I can use weapons with it. If I want to strike the hand, I can use the dummy for that. Of course, I'm using a soft stick today because I will damage the Wundami. If I want to hit the kneecap, I can use the Wundami for training, so it's still probably better than a bag sometimes. Any questions?
No. But we will be having the real demo probably on Sunday. So this is just break the ice for now.
We wanted to keep everyone happy a little bit because there was so many people that were going to come in today to witness what we have to offer. And it's hard to show solo. I mean, let me give you an example of some MMA. So you guys know what MMA looks like. But teaching women, kids, men, how to just utilize the ground a little bit solo is also important. Like, I mean, we do punch the bag, we do mouth the bag, we do roll around, we do train with, you know, you can do this with a pillow at home, work the guard, come back up, knee on belly, you can do all sorts of things. So this would be shown on a demo, of course, with a real human rather than a bag. But one thing that we're proud of, which is very hard to do, is Carenza. And Carenza is shadow boxing in the Philippines. And usually it's done with single stick, double stick, stick and dagger, dagger, and so forth. It's the dance part of the Philippines. Women like it more than men. So it is inserted in our women's program, which we call the RDXT, which is the cross-training program. So it's basically, if I show you an example, if I'm throwing the downward figure eight, which is an X pattern, that's really my jab and cross in the boxing format. It gives me body mechanics. If I do the horizontal figure eight, twisting motions, that teaches me to twist and get my hooks in. When I develop the upward figure eight, which is called Alvarez, that develops my uppercut motion. So in these three areas, downward, horizontal, and upward, you are already developing your jab and cross, your hooking line, and your uppercut line with a basic stick. So it's quite unique and it develops attributes real fast. So if I play with it a little bit and I drop my level, I'm going to maximize my body mechanics, which we promote every student to do Carenza as a warm-up, as a warm-down, and it's a rehab art, low impact, and you can still be training when you're injured. That's the beautiful thing about the Filipino martial arts and Bruce Lee MMA. We do have something for you regardless if you're tired, injured, sore knee, sore leg, sore back. It's just going to get you more on a high level if you keep training rather than staying at home, and we use this art as a rehab art. And as a self-defense mechanism, because we teach military and police officers and so forth, we get data that the public doesn't. I can tell you now 10 out of 10 fights are going to be a blade, some weapon, a smashing weapon, which would be a stick orientated, or a blade. The one-on-ones are sort of gone, but the mass attack, which is multiple opponents, and the weapons, they're pretty much out there every day. So if you don't train in the weapon to defend against it, you're pretty much going to lose the altercation. And this is something that a lot of people don't understand. To defend against the blade, you've got to become a knife fighter. To defend against a stick, you've got to become a stick fighter. To defend against, let's say, a rape situation on the ground, grappling, you've got to become a grappler. You want to defend against a kicker and a puncher, you've got to kickbox. You want to defend against a boxer, you've got to learn how to box. So in other words, we teach it all. Now I'm going to cut it down to categories. There's 1,000 arts. Bruce Lee was so smart, was so high level of thinking as a concept, he put it together in ranges. We have kicking, punching, trapping, grappling, weaponry, mass attack. That's it. That's Bruce Lee MMA. Everything in one. Kick, punch, trap, grapple, weaponry, mass attack. All arts have to fit in those ranges. So when you do all those ranges, what's going to phase you in a street situation? 0. And how many people do we know that fail in a street altercation through pressure? The way you train is the way you're going to perform. If it's always competition, street is different than competition. So what Bruce put together, he gave us competition and combative. You got to join them together. You do competition arts for stamina, for strength, flexibility, combative, fighting with rules, and then you have the combative stuff where there's eye gouging, biting, headbutts, knees and elbows and so forth. Concrete training, not always on the mat. So the street stuff is totally different than the competitive stuff, but we need them both. So this is something that a lot of people don't understand. To defend against the blade, you've got to become a knife fighter. To defend against a stick, you've got to become a stick fighter. To defend against, let's say, a rape situation on the ground, grappling, you've got to become a grappler. You want to defend against a kicker and a puncher, you've got to kickbox. You want to defend against a boxer, you've got to learn how to box. So in other words, we teach it all. Now I'm going to cut it down to categories. There's 1,000 arts. Bruce Lee was so smart, was so high level of thinking as a concept, he put it together in ranges. We have kicking, punching, trapping, grappling, weaponry, mass attack. That's it. That's Bruce Lee MMA. Everything in one. Kick, punch, trap, grapple, weaponry, mass attack. All arts have to fit in those ranges. So when you do all those ranges, what's going to phase you in a street situation? 0. And how many people do we know that fail in a street altercation through pressure? The way you train is the way you're going to perform. If it's always competition, street is different than competition. So what Bruce put together, he gave us competition and combative. You got to join them together. You do competition arts for stamina, for strength, flexibility, combative, fighting with rules, and then you have the combative stuff where there's eye gouging, biting, headbutts, knees and elbows and so forth. Concrete training, not always on the mat. So the street stuff is totally different than the competitive stuff, but we need them both. So, as I said, the weapons are really important for self-defense. And the only art that has multiple component training is the Filipino martial arts. I know I'm saying the Filipino martial arts a lot, but it's a well-rounded art. It wasn't based for competition. It was based for warfare and real-life situations, and it still is over thousands of years. So hopefully you can hop in and experience the Filipino martial arts, the Filipino culture, as well as the Japanese culture, the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu culture, you know, the boxing, the kickboxing, and so forth, which comes from different countries as well. Before Bruce died, he did give us 26 arts. He did put a system together with 26 arts, so there's a lot of training right there that we have to offer with 26 arts already. A lot of arts, but 6 categories. Pretty much it. I mean, I can talk till we're blue in the face. I can show you something that we teach the kids program from day one. As all parents know, most injuries are at school where kids get their wrist broken. So we're going to teach them how to break fall. So break fall is pretty simple. It's in every art. It's the first thing you learn. Of course, is don't let your head touch the concrete or slam yourself on the concrete. So from here, that would be a break fall. And how to get up safely, which is very important, and a lot of people don't realize this comes from a silat art from Indonesia and Malaysia, and of course everybody has borrowed it. The Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu has, the Japanese have, and so forth. How to get up safely to have base and posture. So we teach this as a warm-up, how to break fall, how to move around if someone's in front of you, and how to create space. And that's what we teach the kids from day one. And of course, the most important thing for kids is tactile training. How to stop the fight through grappling rather than punching. Because punching is very easy. And then you have broken eye sockets and teeth and jaws and so forth. So it's better to actually negotiate and trap, use the trapping sequence, get into grappling and stop the fight right there, and you're not hitting anybody. I mean, that's the first thing we teach. The kickboxing and boxing for the kids is always there. We do teach them the stick, how to dance, how to flow. We teach them stick sparring as well for good footwork and good nervous system training. And a lot of people need to understand that you have your right brain working the left side, your left brain working the right side. So with the weapons, you start to fire the other side that you never use in a traditional art. That is a given. Like, you will spar with one lead always as a competitor. You will never go to your right lead if it's your bad side. When you have the nervous system firing, I don't know if I'm in my right lead or left lead. I can still do the same techniques on my left lead, still do the same techniques on my right lead equivalently. That's taken a little while, but the double stick is helping me with that because of my brain firing up. For women training or women's self-defense, there are specifics for women. So you have the rape program which we teach. I know it sounds bad, but it is a bad situation when you're on the bottom with a man on top. So we cover that from day one. With that, you've got to get fit. You've got to get strong, you've got to get fit, you've got to learn how to punch, how to move, how to create distance and so forth. So the Women RDX program covers kicking, punching, trapping, grappling, weaponry, and mass attack. So you're going to get 2 people at once. We tell this to the kids when someone's coming up to you, always think there's a weapon involved and they've got a friend also. So they're already thinking weapons and mass attack. The 2 subjects that a lot of arts don't do, which we offer, which is Bruce Lee's MMA. Probably the last program that we don't promote so much because we teach a lot of military with it is our Navy SEAL program. The Navy SEAL program does come from the Navy SEALs, and it was given to me in 1999. I was tested on it, I trained with a few, and taught a lot of classes in the United States. The Navy SEAL program it covers the self-defense in 3 different categories. Self-defense for civilian, self-defense for law enforcement, self-defense for life and death. So self-defense has 3 little phases that go back and forth, and it depends on the situation. The first self-defense category, we teach off the bat to women, to kids, to adult. The second self-defense, we push it a little bit in the senior class and law enforcement, and then you have the life and death, which is really based on Navy SEAL military style. We have to be careful teaching that area. The women, we do cross over a little bit because women do need an edge, how do we say, to get the shit out of a man. So we need to give them a little bit more of an edge. So yeah, we push the Navy SEAL program a lot to women more than guys. Classes will probably start once we have the opening. Probably this week we'll find out what happens with lockdown. If we can open, it will probably be this Sunday. Still at the same time, 1 o'clock. Come in and we'll have some of the crew here.
See you on Sunday, hopefully after lockdown.
But we'll keep you posted. Check us out on the website, www.okamiacademy.com, or Facebook. Peace out.